Welcome to Life After Dogma, exploring what life looks like when we start paying attention to the ways our beliefs shape reality.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today on a very auspicious day. Today, we're going to talk about 3i Atlas and what it is and why do people care, the significance of today in relation to 3i Atlas and December 19th. And then we're going to get into some unconventional interpretations of what it is and what it means and tie it all together with how it overlaps with this period of rapid change that we're all feeling, we're all experiencing on some level or another. So let's get into it. I'm going to hand it over to Brian because he has become our resident 3i Atlas expert.
Thanks. So I've been just paying attention to it, what people are saying, how people are interpreting it over the last few months, because it was only discovered back in July. But for anybody that isn't aware, it's a comet. It's an interstellar comet that's traveling through our solar system right now. And today it passes most closest to the sun on its trajectory because the path that it's on, it's coming into the solar system and it's leaving the solar system. It's not getting trapped in any planet or the sun's gravitational field. So it's
far enough away from, it's just passing through. Like it's just far enough to away from everything where it can just kind of like glide right through.
It is.
Okay.
Yep. Although it is going to be passing relatively close to Jupiter, but that comes in March. But it's a comet, or at least it appears to be. That's the scientific conclusion. It's only the third interstellar object that has been detected by our telescopes. That's why it's called the third interstellar visitor. I stands for interstellar. Atlas is the name of the telescope system that first found it back in July. So that's where the name comes from. But it's roughly 1,000 feet to 3 miles wide.
Oh, that's huge.
It's very large.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's traveling between 130 and 137,000 miles per hour. So it's the fastest object seen entering our solar system.
Of course, it's like big, but then I'm thinking, well, 3 miles though is like not that big when you think of the planets that it's passing by.
Yeah, it's big enough for us to see, though. I
Yeah.
mean, I've heard some people say that it's like roughly the size of Manhattan.
Okay.
So
Thanks. That's good.
It's
That's
big
helpful.
for a comet, though.
Okay.
I think. So why are people interested in it? One, because it's interstellar, so it's only the third one that we've ever been able to observe, and I think the first one we observed was back around 2017. I think before that, surely there were interstellar objects that traveled through the solar system, but the telescopes weren't sophisticated enough for us to pick up on them. So this is the third one that we've seen. So it's rare. I think that's one thing that got certainly like the scientific astronomy people paying attention to it. And
interstellar means that it's within many different systems. It's passing through many systems.
Yeah, it's from outside of our solar system.
Got it.
It did not originate here.
Okay.
And it's probably been traveling for billions of years. And so it's only the third one that we've seen. So it's this, anytime we see one of these, it's a unique chance to study, like, what's it made out of, which can potentially reveal, more secrets on the formation of other solar systems and potentially the universe itself. There's a lot of fascination with this, though, in particular, because it has some unusual behavior. It has a glow to it. It appears to be emitting its own light rather than reflecting the sun. It has changed color multiple times, which is sparked all kinds of like theories on what chemical makeup is causing it to change colors. Like, what does it mean? It's very different from anything that we would observe before. It seems to be potentially like the oldest object we've ever observed. formed around very old stars, possibly predating our sun. That would make it billions of years old. It looks like it has an unusual composition. At first, they said it had no carbon dioxide. Now, because of the color change, they're saying it has a ton of it. It keeps throwing them off, the people that are observing it. Like every time they think they know what it is, it seems to, create like a new puzzle, which I think, just generates more speculation and analysis, from the scientific community. Um, but, their conclusion is that, yeah, it's still it's unusual, but everything still points to it being a natural comet, and as opposed to alien technology, which is the other narrative that's made it into like the mainstream news cycle. Because it's mysterious in nature, it is interstellar, and there have been some credentialed scientists that are mainly just posing the speculation, hey, there's so little we know about this. Perhaps it is alien technology, or maybe it is like a physical rock, but it has like alien life forms on it, or it's under the control of some non-human intelligence. So I think that's captured people's imaginations.
Like a fun human experience to like imagine what it could be. And so this is like a new type of imagining and something that's kind of tangible because, we can see it in the sky. Like I've seen lots of videos of people with their own telescopes that are even able to see it. So we can see it in the sky, but then like you said, we still like the science community isn't definitive. When whenever there's something that's not definitive by the science community, just like all kinds of like imaginative ideas of what it could be and where it could go happen. And I love that.
Yeah, I mean, and it has all these anomalies to it. Like it's changing color, which means like it's chemistry that looks inconsistent, which is throwing all of the special, experts off. It has this tail-like feature that appears to point towards the sun. Which is visually counterintuitive because um, dust tails on comets are normally pushed anti-sunward, like in the opposite direction of the sun.
Oh, like the sun pushes them away?
Yeah, by radiation pressure and solar wind. But it seems to be going the other way, like towards the sun.
Like it's like, sun, you have no control over me.
Yeah. So that's unusual.
So is that like kind of like whatever is in the tail is just not affected by the sun's radiation?
I mean, I think the mainstream explanation right now is that the angle from which we can view it, plus a large dust effect, potentially it's just so big and there's so much dust that the effect that we see is making it appear that way. But it still seems like every time that they think it's one thing, it appears to be something different, which I think just, adds to the interest.
Yeah, it adds to the like fantastical.
Yeah, it just makes it more fantastical. So I think that just keeps people interested in it.
So is that why people care? Just because there's just like in the short period of time, science isn't like we know what it is.
I think this is the third one, and we've seen the other two within the last 10 years. I think each time, like, it makes the news cycle. This one is getting a lot of attention because there's a Harvard scientist, Avi Loeb is his name, and he continually comes out and says, we really don't know what this is. And he kind of speculates, what if it's an alien spacecraft, and what if that's what we're observing? He can't prove that, but I think just him being on the news cycle and suggesting that it's
so somebody in like academia is now saying that's a possibility.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's done this before with some of the other ones, but I think like because we keep seeing interstellar objects and he keeps saying that, and this one really does appear anomalous in a lot of ways. It's just unconventional in the real scientific observations that we can do. One other thing that he said that's interesting about it as well is that so it's going to be passing close to Jupiter in a few months from now in March. Um, so the predicted geometric path that it's on lines up strikingly close to like a radius of, I don't think it's atmosphere, but it's like gravitational pull with Jupiter. And really the point there is that it's just unlikely to happen by chance. He ran the odds and said that the odds of it coming that close to Jupiter are like 1 in 26,000 or something like that. So he's trying to make the point that maybe it is under intelligent control.
And they're wanting it for some reason to be pulled in by Jupiter?
I don't know why. Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess we're just guessing at this point.
But I think like the idea here is that credentialed scientists are putting out speculative ideas that keep people's imaginations kind of like turning. So that's kind of like the mainstream side of it. On the other side of it, remote viewers, astrologers, psychics, mediums, they're all saying that this has been predicted. This is a sign of great changes to come. And many of them are saying that it is some kind of conscious, energetic thing or under an energetic conscious control.
So when they say that it's been predicted, do they mean like they foresaw it previously in like the last months or last years, or like did they kind of explain, like when you say this has been predicted, is it like a Nostradamus type thing?
The prediction that I'm aware of specifically is one that Edgar Cayce, a famous psychic medium channeler that lived 100 years ago, predicted that on October 29th, 2025, there would be a great flash of light in the sky. And that was the date that it passed closest to Earth.
Stop. Okay. Like exactly on the day.
On the date, yeah.
Okay.
And that was the day that it passed closest to Earth.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is the significance of today then?
Right. So today is the closest approach to the sun.
To the sun. Okay, so it's already passed Earth, and now it's passing the sun. And this is where they said that, like, the pull of the sun is not having an effect on it. Like, now they're able to observe that whatever typically happens when something gets close to the sun is not affecting it the same way.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Sorry, I had that backwards. Today is the closest to Earth.
That's what I thought, but then I was like, well,
October
Brian
29th was the closest to the sun.
To the sun. Okay, and that's when we were able to see it, though. We could see it and observe it. So when you say a flash of light, it's not too
kind
far
of
out there.
abstract, but yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it was a significant date.
Okay, so today is the day the closest to
today
the Earth.
Passes
okay.
closest
That's what
to
I
the
thought.
Earth.
Okay.
And then, October 29th was the day that it passed closest to the sun. Got it. Or it reached its, closest point to the sun. Yep.
Okay, so what are they observing today, or kind of what is the expectation? It's just that we can see it. It's not within like close enough to draw into the Earth or anything like that.
It's not going to hit the Earth or anything like that. But if it is going to have any kind of energetic impacts, it would presumably happen when it passes closest to the Earth.
Okay, and that's kind of what the mediums and the astrologers and everything is saying, is like...
That's what they're saying from an energetic perspective. Now, back from the scientific perspective, a couple of things I didn't mention was there have been a lot of solar flare activity since it was first observed, since it first
like more than usual?
More than usual. And I think the mainstream conclusion is that it's just coincidence. But then when it did pass...
I don't believe in coincidence.
When it did pass closest to Mars back in October, it came relatively close to a NASA satellite, and it went offline.
Oh, okay.
So it
has like a
they're saying it had nothing to do. They're saying the two things had nothing to do with each other. But it's just like these things keep happening, so it keeps people interested.
Okay.
So that's kind of the background on Three Eye Atlas, and I think
So, can we get it more into kind of what the non scientific side, like
yeah,
how the mediums and psychics and astrologers and everything are kind of, because I know also today is a new moon
it is,
too. So, there's
and we're
like,
2 days from the winter solstice.
yeah, so it also kind of has this like already kind of an astrological feel to it to be happening on this day. Is there anything else that they've been through these predictions, kind of, for like when they say it's not new or it's been predicted?
Yeah,
What has been predicted, like in relation to Three Eye Atlas?
right. Yeah, so
Or
I th-
maybe it's just like adds more to the noise of what's already out there. That this is like a great change time.
I think that's really what it comes down to. Um, I think from everything that I've seen, despite some of the remote viewings that I've looked at on YouTube of it, I think it is a comet, but I think it also potentially could have um, some kind of energetic. I don't know if we want to say consciousness, but I think it is a signal or a catalyst of things to come, because I do think historically these types of objects appeared during periods of collective transition. And I think that's what a lot of them have pointed to as far as the channelers and mediums, astrologers, and I think that that tracks for me, because it is lining up energetically with all of these um, things that are changing. I think we can observe it in the world too. A lot of things that are changing.
Yeah, and I would think too, I was just kind of, from the skeptic side or whatever, whether or not it does, I don't think we'll know. Like you said, like it's just throwing curveballs for the scientific. We probably won't know. And then it's going to pass through and we won't know. But it seems like what it is also like symbolic. It's like a symbolic of a time, and the fact that it's interstellar and coming from who knows where, and we have to like really grapple with, this is something that's coming from outside of our universe, and that's billions of years old. It kind of like adds to the shifting narrative of not being human centric, but that we are like a speck of dust in the arena, the great cosmic arena kind of thing. Like there's just so much else at play, and that, I mean, is like a big shift in thinking, right? Like,
It is, yeah. Because I mean, what all these themes, when we look at kind of the esoteric or the unconventional interpretations of Three Eye Atlas, the timing definitely doesn't appear to be random. I mean, I think we can all agree humanity's in a big transition phase. There's rapid change happening here in the U.S., globally, with technology, and I do think what resonates most with me is that 3A Atlas is not the event, but it's more like a energetic, but also psychological and perceptual rehearsal of, bigger events to come. And I think the, preparation for major world changing, life changing events collectively, preparation always precedes like the big revelation. And I think just us having this conversation, people talking about interstellar objects, people observing interstellar objects, they behave in ways that we don't understand, which reminds us how little we know, but it also captures our excitement and imagination and motivates us to want to learn more about them, whether that be scientifically or through some, esoteric knowledge pursuit path. But because these types of things have been observed before.
yeah, and I think it, like you said, it doesn't happen on accident, and like the fact that it's throwing the science community off, I think allows us to not rely on science for all of the answers, but to also know that like there's a lot of unknown, like a lot. Like we're constantly learning, which is super exciting, and science is making such great breakthroughs, but there's still so much that we don't know. And then when you have that, you have to kind of like I think that's just how the human mind just does, is it like starts grasping and looking for other things. And then when you see, like you said, like these psychics and different esoteric groups that have already predicted it. I mean, astrologically, you've got like it's happening again on a new moon. I'm not super into numerology, but like I hear that it's a number 9 year, which is also, like you said, like kind of the cleaning up of everything before a new beginning starts. And that's kind of what astrology is talking about, is like 2026 is kind of the beginning of a new imagining. So just all of these things together, I feel like there are so many of them that are happening right now that you can't ignore it, right? You can't just say like, oh no, none of that matters, because there's just like it's just like a collective amount that just needs to be recognized, or at least like,
Right.
yeah, you just have to like accept that all of this is happening.
There's a lot happening. There's a lot of energetic unrest. There's a lot of people in the world that want something different from the way that things are right now. And I think what I'm hearing through kind of following this topic for the last few months, especially kind of outside of the mainstream narrative, just seeing, what kind of the esoteric thinkers are, um, how they're perceiving it. What resonates most with me is that it's not the cause of global changes, but it is a catalyst for them. I don't think it's the only one, but I think, it's appearing during this period of major planetary shifts, collective transition. And in that sense, at least for us energetically, it can help assist with that shift or open our minds up to being open to that. I think it can also serve as a mirror of, collective, we were like where we're at. Like look at how we're responding to it. We're trying to study it and observe it, and we're, saying what we think it is, and then it defies our expectations. But then we're also seeing, from a intuitive perspective, oh, humanity has encountered these things before, and they often happen, preceding periods of great change. So I think, if anything, a lot of people are just intuitively drawn to, there's something significant to this, even if it's not aliens coming to visit us.
Yeah, and I really like too that because there's not like a hard and definite answer, that it's allowed us to start. I mean, I said it earlier. I already said it. Like start imagining, envisioning, which I feel like in right now when there's just like so much turmoil, like you said, and so much change, it's really easy to look at what's wrong with everything constantly, like what needs to be changed, instead of imagining what it could be. And like, this is like a great exercise with this comet of like, what could it be, and seeing it in like an exciting way, and like imagining new ways of seeing it, instead of being afraid of like, oh, because also it's not going to hit us too, so we don't have this like fear.
Right.
It's like we really can just observe it and kind of like dream up what it could be, like have a fun exercise that way. And that's something that like, it's a great exercise for our brains and for our minds and for our soul, because that's what we should be focusing on in this new age also, not like focusing on like what we need to fix, like we need to like what's broken, and like pointing out all the parts that are broken or that aren't defined or aren't like aren't figured out, but instead visioning like, oh, what could it be, like what could this new age be, like what could, if we could dream up what it is that we want, what would we want?
Right. And to me, that's the purpose of this object, is this conversation surrounding it. It's helping humanity understand, or at least reminding us that we're part of this greater whole. And that's really exciting. And it's also encouraging us to have a conversation about it. We're not just these isolated beings. We're all connected to each other, but we're also connected to this broad universe that we really know little about. But I think that does, at least for me, it excites me to go want to learn more about it. I think another thing that we're being reminded of is, right now, like with, this event and things that are going on more broadly, is that we have come to distrust our intuition. Like we are relying on mainstream science to tell us all the definitive answers, and they keep coming up short.
Right. And then we're like, well, what now? And we're too scared, or like, or yeah, you're right. Like, I have lost my ability to just like intuitively feel and know what I think it is, or what this means to me.
Right. And I don't think that this is the first catalyst for that by any means. I think that's been building, especially over the last 10 or 15 years. Like people are recognizing that they have grown to distrust their intuition. And I think a lot of people are pointing to that's kind of by design. Like the modern world that we live in, through systems, governments and institutions, and potentially school systems, have told people like this is history, this is the science. And then the more that we learn, like in this information age, it's like, well, that's not all the history. There's a lot of science that we don't understand. And people are starting to wonder, like, why am I so distrustful of my intuition?
Or just distrustful in general. Just there's just
Right, but I mean,
distrust.
of our own like abilities
Yeah,
to
yeah.
like make up our own minds for
Well, that
ourselves.
and that gets to a good point of like when you become distrustful of yourself and of your own intuition. We talk a lot about how your internal reality is a reflection, or it reflects to your external reality, and then like you just start distrusting everything around you, and then you just like it's like you just start attracting just all this stuff that you just don't feel, you no longer feel safe. You don't feel safe in your experience, you don't feel safe in yourself. And then what kind of energy is that putting out, right? And then we're just in this position where we're just yeah, like we're all just hungry for a change because it just doesn't sit right. Like it's like this is not how this experience is supposed to go.
Right. I think we're becoming more aware of the world that we live in is not necessarily like what we've been told or what we've been taught. And that, we've definitely outsourced a lot of our decision making and beliefs and conclusions on things to experts, so called experts, rather than us being the own expert of our beliefs and, tuning into what feels right for us.
So if this three eye atlas and all of the other, the number 9 year, all of these things is energetically, symbolically, spiritually, like a restart. Like we're entering into a new chapter. We're kind of like tying up things and ready to emerge into a new chapter of humanity. Um, and I was just saying, what instead of focusing on the fear or what needs to be fixed, like if this is a great chance for us to really just put out the energy of what we want our world and our experience to be shaped for this next chapter, like we're using it as the catalyst, like you said, for the next chapter, then what do we think that is?
Yeah, so I used to think humanity would change because we figured out the right ideas or built the right tools, maybe technological advancements and things like that that would improve societies. But now it looks more, at least to me, like it changes one person at a time. Like when someone stops running on their default mode and wakes up, starts paying attention to what actually feels true to them.
Yeah, and I love how you said that that's kind of what you thought would um help humanity in the next chapter or fix it. It was like these technological changes, because in my mind it was always like this social revolution kind of thing, and like even like how it changed, or what faith we put into like an external thing for fixing it was so different for every person. And to me, the refocusing, like you said, to kind of that it starts inside of us and to each person kind of waking up just leads to it just makes so much more sense, because each one of us is so different and we all have a different vision for the future and for our reality and for like humanity. So of course inside of us like is the answer for ourselves, right?
Right.
Because it's an individual experience. So it doesn't happen with some sort of external thing coming to save us or something like that. It comes internally with us saving ourselves
That's the
first.
thing, is we don't need to be saved by some external force.
Right.
We just need to wake up and remember, who we are and why we're here as individuals. And, the more um, I look at it, the less likely it seems that we evolve through, the big ideas or systemic changes. And I think it's when people really start trusting their own inner signals, find that power in their own awareness.
Yeah, and I definitely see like the future as one that's guided by love and compassion, right? Like,
Right.
and I think that once you have those foundational things, when you have love and compassion for all, for everyone, not rich, poor, powerful, vulnerable, all, when we come from a place of love and compassion, then all these other things, all these other physical things, like, whatever it is, whatever you're focused on, healthcare, housing, that kind of thing, those things just start to shift. Like the choices that we make as a society, as a collective, start to change when you come from that part. And how do you come from a place of love and compassion? How can you make that your default? Well, I always tell our girls, and I'll probably say this in every single episode that we do, you put the oxygen on yourself before you go and help others. And so when we learn to accept who we are, like truly, without shame, without judging ourselves, and when we have self-compassion, that is the doorway that we can walk through, where like having compassion and love for others doesn't feel forced or obligated or something like that. It doesn't become like a win-lose situation. It's just like the default.
It just flows. It just flows
Mm-hmm.
naturally. So reduce your own stress, prioritize your own well being, take care of yourself. That's the best way to put out those higher vibrational energies
Right.
like love and unity. Those are just going to flow naturally through you.
Right.
And that's how I see human consciousness ultimately evolving, is going
So
that
these
way.
these are like big things. Like I can just like imagine my former self being like, okay, yeah, love and compassion. Right, right. I get it. I get it. But it's kind of like, what does that look like? And I was trying to think about like, what does that look like? Because we're still existing in this world that does have a lot of things that like we're still in this transitional phase. And so what is that? And I was thinking about it, and it's like when your nervous system is regulated, which is a lot of self-compassion, when you really do take the time for regulating your nervous system, when your intentions are clear and your inner world is aligned, like when you take the time to really get to know yourself and to understand your patterns and everything, then things start to move differently. So it's just those like little shifts. It's just these like things that we have been, or I have been neglecting for probably too long. And now it's just like when I do those things, this type of work of like love and compassion doesn't feel like this lofty idea, right? It feels like so much more natural.
Right. And if you kind of think about that on the broad scale of like the collective human consciousness, and you think about it as like a developmental cycle, I think humanity, at least we always have the opportunity to grow up to the next stage on that developmental cycle. And I think what you're saying to me is like the more we take care of ourselves first and make sure that we have balance in our lives, the more curious we become about the world and other people, the less we need certainty.
Right. We're not like just reacting. We're no longer
Right.
just reacting
Right.
and
We
responding
become
to stuff.
exactly. We become more less obsessed with control, and I think we become more present. I think we stop seeing things from a viewpoint of scarcity and more like there's abundance everywhere,
Hmm.
especially when we're, you know, coming at it from this balanced perspective.
Yeah, and that makes me think of so for my own practice with this whole like visioning thing, because I just feel so strongly, and I have felt this way in my professional life and in my personal life, that like visionaries are so important, and everyone can be a visionary. Like everyone's visions are important and interesting and exciting and different. And I was thinking like in this podcast, I was like, well, should I just like say, like put the energy out there and just say what my vision of the world is? But mine is like different than yours. Like just how you said that yours about like the external, how the world was going to be saved or how humanity, it's different. And so I thought that that's probably like, that could be even divisive, right? But my practice on this visioning that I have been doing for a while now is like carving out a little bit of time every day, just like not that much. Like if you meditate, like taking a little bit of your meditation time or whatever, or if you're just like in your car or whatever, and you're just dreaming, right? Is dreaming. But I don't just dream like, oh yeah, the world could be this and like sunshine and rainbows or something. But I like I'm very, you have to be intentional. Like I said, like when your intentions are clear and your inner world is aligned. So I'm intentional, and I'm like, I'll pick like a topic that seems interesting for the day, like housing or like, you know, self-care or I don't know, something like that, or like the capitalism or I don't know, something like that. And then vision specifically on that. But I put a parameter on myself, like I said earlier, that this vision has to come from a place of love and compassion for all, right? Like it's one where all are accepted, all are lifted, all have this beautiful world that I envision.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of anything. Like there's no retribution or nothing like that. It has to come from true love and compassion that we're all get to experience. We're all here experiencing something together. And that's kind of how I have taken this visioning, how I've started it for myself. But I do it all the time because like it says, like then my internal reality or my like when I tell myself, it's almost like a not a manifestation, but like a mantra or like some like I start to believe that, and then my reality outside, like just my interactions with people are a lot softer and my conversations change, and I do feel like it changes like that, and how I approach and how I see things in my physical world is different. And then that's kind of the change that ripples out as people kind of start visioning this. You come from a place of that, of love and compassion, and then you start to see it. And then just imagine if like a large body of us started to do that instead of thinking about things that were broken.
Exactly. I think that's when you start to see that evolutionary shift start to happen. And kind of bringing it back to 3A Atlas, I think it plays some role in that consciousness evolution, even if it's just normalizing the idea that, you know, reality extends beyond Earth and there's a whole universe outside of our solar system. I mean, I know we all know that there is, but it doesn't feel as real as when interstellar objects and things like that come
Yeah,
pass through
something
the solar system.
physical
Yeah,
is like
something's actually
we really
happening.
have to grapple with
And we
something.
are looking at it and we can't understand it. I think it shakes kind of like those rigid frameworks, but it does so in a way without direct intervention. It's not like aliens are coming down and landing on the White House lawn yet.
Yeah. No. So it is. It's like an internal thing. Like it's an existential moment, right? We're having an existential moment here, like coupled with all the other existential moments that we're feeling. But it's truly like one where you're like, seeing something outside of yourself, but it causes you to internally reflect, like, what, like, why am I doing these certain things in my life when,
Right.
like, that it, for me, it just is like, some of these things, like, why am I paying attention to this stuff when this doesn't matter? It like creates like a bigger perspective. It's like the macro perspective
Hmm.
where like little things start to shake out that don't matter so much.
Yeah. I mean, I think all of these observations that we're having now on, like, what are we doing and why are we doing it? I think that's all around this remembering of what consciousness really is. All of these are like little milestones on the path to really understanding what consciousness is and how it interconnects everything in the universe. And just a note on the UFO topic, because that was one of my favorite sources in my research for this episode, was Bashar talking about how Three Eye Atlas is really just the rehearsal. It's not the event. It's not the contact event that many people are either waiting for, afraid of, or completely ignoring because they're so stuck in their day to day that they can't even imagine that there's, sure, maybe there's intelligent life out there somewhere, but it doesn't interact with me on a daily basis. But what Bashar was saying, in kind of reference to Three Eye Atlas, is that it's not going to happen during Three Eye Atlas, but it will likely happen in the years following. But it will only be after humanity demonstrates a perceptual readiness or even like a psychological readiness for open contact with non-human intelligence. And so I think
Yeah. And what is that? What do you think that readiness means?
I think it's going to have, I think we're going to see it in the months and years to follow.
Like,
People will start to trust their own intuition. I think they will start, many people, I think people will go in different directions. I think more and more people, though, will start becoming more awake, living from a place of their own intuition, and fostering and helping that grow their trust in their intuition and what is important to them grow, which will have an impact on the external world. Yeah, there will be another group of people who will go down the path of fear and chaos and destruction. But I I think on the whole, it will go down the path of humanity collectively will become more open and ready for a higher level of consciousness vibration.
yeah. And I feel like I just in maybe since the pandemic, I feel like the pandemic was also kind of a rehearsal of like
Yeah,
figuring these things out, and a lot more openness has happened, and like a lot more like understanding, like, wait a minute, like what is going on here, like
right.
what have we gotten ourselves into, and like an understanding of like things are not always as they seem, so I'm going to trust myself, I'm going to trust my, yeah, like a, like going back into like my intuition.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah, all of these events are catalysts for that.
Hmm.
And I don't think it's happening.
And it's happening faster.
I think it's happening faster, and I don't think it's happening randomly.
Hmm. Cool. Well, any other closing remarks about this? Today's a big day. It's probably, but it's all gonna, it's a big day, but then it'll be like so slow. It's like, what do they say? Like the days are long, but the years are short kind of moment.
I think that's a good way to sum it up. But I don't think anybody has anything to fear with Three Eye Atlas. I think it's more just an opportunity to view it and the universe more broadly in awe rather than fear. And if anything, just see it as a conscious catalyst for amplifying the shift that's already happening.
Yeah. And again, back to Bashar, it's like a permission slip to stop thinking about things that are broken and start visioning and imagining what we want.
Exactly.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.